Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, Part 60. Immediately it followed, "Why has God done this to me? What have I done to be thus used?" My conscience presently checked me in that inquiry as if I had blasphemed, and method it spoke to me like a voice. "Wretch, dost thou ask what thou hast done? Look back upon a dreadful misspent life, and ask thyself that thou hast not done. Ask why is it that thou wert not long ago destroyed? Why wert thou not drowned in Yarmouth roads, killed in the fight when the ship was taken by the Sally men of war, devoured by the wild beasts on the coast of Africa, or drowned here when all the crew perished but thyself? Dost thou ask what have I done? I was struck dumb with these reflections as one astonished, and had not a word to say, no, not to answer to myself, but rose up pensive and sad, walked back to my retreat, and went up over my wall as if I had been going to bed. But my thoughts were sadly disturbed, and I had no inclination to sleep, so I sat down in my chair and lighted my lamp, for it began to be dark. Now, as the apprehension of the return of my distemper terrified me very much, it occurred to my thought that the Brazilians take no physic but their tobacco for almost all distempers, and I had a piece of a roll of tobacco in one of the chests, which was quite cured, and some also that was green and not quite cured. I went direct by heaven, no doubt, for in this chest I found a cure both for soul and body. I opened the chest and found what I looked for, the tobacco. And as the few books I had saved lay there too, I took out one of the Bibles which I mentioned before, and which to this time I had not found leisure or inclination to look into. I say I took it out and brought both that and the tobacco with me to the table. What use to make of the tobacco I knew not in my distemper, or whether it was good for it or no, but I tried several experiments with it, as if I was resolved it should hit one way or other. I first took a piece of leaf and chewed it in my mouth, which indeed at first almost stupefied my brain, the tobacco being green and strong, and that I hadn't been much used to. Then I took some and steeped it an hour or two in some rum, and resolved to take a dose of it when I lay down, and lastly I burned some upon a pan of coals, and held my nose close over the smoke of it as long as I could bear it, as well for the heat as almost for suffocation. In the interval of this operation I took up the Bible and began to read, but my head was too much disturbed with the tobacco to bear reading, at least at that time. Only having opened the book casually, the first words that occurred to me were these: "Call on me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me." These words were wept apt to my case, and made some impression upon my thoughts at the time of reading them, though not so much as they did afterwards, for as for being delivered The word had no sound, as I may say to me. The thing was so remote, so impossible in my apprehension of things, that I began to say, as the children of Israel did when they were promised flesh to eat, "Can God spread a table in the wilderness?" So I began to say, "Can God Himself deliver me from this place?"